It's the DP Show. I'm D. Palmer. We're done bad-mouthing the NFL. I want to move over to the political side of things for just a bit. See, here's where I'm coming from. I got to admit something, and I'm not proud of it. It's just, you see, well, we all have little habits or indulgences that we're not proud of, and mine is with the wife, of course. I only got into this because of the wife, and I will say that to anybody who asks, and into her face also, that I watch Big Brother. Yeah, just let that soak in. I watch Big Brother, and I do it in part because, again, it's something she enjoys, but generally sometimes it is actually like a game show. Not that it is always like a game show. Sometimes it's rigged, like an NFL game show. I wasn't supposed to do that, but you get the point. Sometimes it certainly seems like the producers have a little bit more to do with who's going to win than do the contestants. But, you know, a lot of the times, like this summer, it's actually fairly riveting human drama. If you're unfamiliar with the concept, a bunch of attention-hounding idiots decide that they want to spend their summer away from everybody that they know and love, and they go live in this house where they are asked to do ridiculous things like walk on a treadmill until they fall off, or, you know, get bashed into a wall, or sometimes they have to eat disgusting things. Incidentally, maybe it's because it's on CBS, there isn't a lot of vomit. That's usually a reality TV show mainstay, you know, somebody throwing up. But there isn't a lot of that on there. If this was MTV, my gosh, we could probably sit back and watch the puke flow like beer. Get it? But anyway, there isn't a lot of that, and I'm thankful for it. But what they're trying to do is convince people to first not put them on a block upon which they could be voted out of the house. If you do that long enough, eventually you're going to convince people that you had a hand in voting out of the house to vote for you to win $500,000. Second place gets $50,000. Pretty good way to spend your summer, if you don't mind living with a bunch of attention-hounding idiots. But here's the thing. There are no rules. You can't be violent, but they almost encourage you to make alliances, break alliances, do something that has become a verb since reality TV became something that we watch, backstab people. If I could just put everybody in a room that has ever taken part in some sort of reality TV show in which they are eventually going to be voting people out, I would tell them that the action is the stabbing. If you were to properly use this phrase, you would talk about stabbing people in the back. You stabbed me in the back. Backstabbing isn't necessarily a thing, right? You backstabbed me. I'm not going to vote for you because you backstabbed me. No. I'm not going to vote for you because you stabbed me in the back. You stabbed me in the back. Do you see what the difference is? If you don't, then CBS is looking for your application. You can go not throw up and butcher the King's English and maybe even win $500,000. But now, anyway, here's the thing. This summer, we had this character on there who'd been on before, and he'd actually won. There were, in fact, 2 coaches who eventually became players who had won seasons past. And one of them, a guy by the name of Dan, he won the first time by winning competitions when he needed to. You can win competitions to be head of household when you nominate people to be voted out, or the power of veto when you can veto one of the head of household's nominees. And he would always just kind of win one whenever he needed to. And he gets in there this year, and there's a couple of, you know, strapping young men and brainy young people, and he figured that he wasn't going to be able to beat them. And it quickly became obvious that he was not going to be. So he started playing this underhanded game where he was smashing alliances, backstabbing people, to borrow their phrase and term or wherever we're going to use that, and ultimately was able to connive his way into one of the top 2. At which point, I was thinking, dude's got to win, because there was one series in particular where it looked like he was out the door, and he was punished with something at one of the competitions where he was going to have to spend 24 hours all by himself. And he comes out of the room and he says, look, I want to go host my funeral. I know I'm out of here. And he winds up throwing his only real partner under the bus, saying, you're dead to me, you know what you did. She's beside herself. Oh, I don't know what I did. please tell me what I did, and so forth. Meanwhile, he goes up to talk to the guy who put him on the chopping block, and he says, look, there's this alliance. I've been part of it. These are the guys that got your friends out. This is how we did it. And my only chance here is to backstab them. His word, not mine. And he winds up using that new alliance to manipulate himself from getting voted out of the House, voting one of his old partners out, and then he just goes on this 5 or 6 week binge where he's forever backstabbing somebody. And I found it all fascinating. Because somebody finally made this show genuinely interesting outside from the personalities. So I go start looking around some of the message boards just to see if people who watch this show regularly were as interested in this personality as was I. And it seemed like there were a pretty hearty population of the shameless Big Brother viewers who would take the time to read these things, let alone post them. I could descend even further, is what I'm saying to anybody who's rolling their eyes right now. Because I never make the messages. Oh, yeah, I don't do that. But there's probably more than half of everybody who is just completely appalled by this gentleman's behavior. He's on this game, and he's playing without any integrity, usually spelled with any variety of a number of T's. There should only be, integrity. There should be the 2. But we got 3, and we got 4, and we got 1, integrity with a D. I'm making fun of people who watch reality TV right now. Yes, I know I do it sometimes too, but I'm not like the rest of them. I bathe. Now, they got people who say that they understand that he doesn't have to play with integrity or integrity, but they do think that he's just taking it way too far, and that he's the kind of scumbag that deserves to get hung by his thumbs and beaten with a cord or something like that. And they got other people in there who can't really say anything but boo, or boo, typing that sort of thing. And I would say to the wife, because, of course, she likes watching this show even more than I do, I can't believe these people that are getting all over this guy's case, because don't they know what this show's all about? The show's about going on. It's a game. It's a game show in which the winner takes home $500,000. And you don't win that $500,000 by going out there and being Sunday School Sally and coming back impressing everybody with your uprighted morality and convincing everybody to give you their phone number so you can hang out afterwards and all that stuff. You get there by convincing people to keep you in the house, and then by voting them out. And people, this was just beyond people. All the viewers was beyond me. How could they be missing this? Why is it that somebody who had become expert at, if nothing else, remaining in the house? That is the whole name of the game, up to the point where you're trying to convince them to give you $500,000. The people who regularly watch this show could not understand this. Why am I telling you all this stuff? You're probably wondering. Well, I'll tell you right now. I don't know if you heard, but right now we got another reality show going on, though this one is supposedly meaningful. It is the nomination and the election of a president of the United States. What? This is heresy. This guy is trying to equate Big Brother treachery to voting for a president. Yeah, I am, because it's about as ridiculous. What I say? Well, let's just take a look at this. We have George W. Bush, who in 2000 and 2004 essentially won elections by daring to ask voters, who would you rather have a beer with? This is a little bit of a slip from where we were in 1996 when Bill Clinton went around asking people if they should vote for him by answering this question internally, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Now we've gone from that, which is pretty basic in itself, to who would you rather have a beer with? And that's why Gerald Celente refers to this thing, one of the reasons I should say, that Gerald Celente refers to this thing as the presidential reality show, because this is just some sort of awkward popularity contest. Nobody says anything substantive. And it's reached the point where Mitt Romney, nominated by the Republicans, who has pretty much been a gaffe waiting to happen since he started running for president 7 years ago. One moment. But he's been a gaffe waiting to happen. And he goes out there in May to Florida and makes this major gaffe where he accuses 47% of the electorate to never be willing to vote for him because they're on the government's dime. He has no way that he can try and convince these guys to vote for him, because voting for Romney in his mind, as he's telling a bunch of stalwart conservatives at a $50,000 a plate fundraiser, I would cut them off. First of all, there's no evidence to back that up. Mitt Romney is a rhino, if there ever has been one, that was running for the presidency. His politics when he was governor of Massachusetts were very, very, very centrist, if not a little bit left-leaning. This case that he's going to get in here and start slashing away and hacking away at entitlement programs, as we're going to call them, is just unfounded. Furthermore, who cares if he had said this while trying to make a bunch of fat cats clap for him at some dinner? He didn't come out and say, this is exactly what I'm going to do to make sure this 47% of the people get off the government's payroll. All he said was, they're not going to vote for me. Or this just continued this argument that doesn't involve anything that really matters as far as this presidential campaign season goes. These guys are not talking about anything. And all they are doing is kicking up all this dust about stuff that means almost nothing, while making sure to never discuss anything that means something. And the thing that I'm being so critical of, not necessarily the candidates. Look, they're trying to make you happy. They're trying to make you, the voting public, happy. Mitt Romney regrets saying this because all of a sudden it's painted him in an ugly color, an ugly shade. Right? This might be something he actually believes. It's the sort of thing you probably shouldn't be saying out loud, regardless of where you are, amongst friends or not. But he didn't say anything that was necessarily a direct assault upon anybody as far as a policy would go. The only thing he had done was exactly what the other guy did over with the Big Brother TV show, was to try to make enough friends to finally get the nomination. Right? And people were so turned off by that during the summer, just like they're now so turned off by Mitt Romney saying this thing about 47%. I got a better idea for everybody. Is that first, you ought to just embrace what it is you're watching. If you're watching this game show for people to make $50,000 for being the last man standing, appreciate for what it is. All right? If you want to vote for somebody, as like a president, for example, based on how good they make you feel about you, or whether or not you think that they would be really neat to hang out with, like that one guy giving President Obama the big bear hug, the pizza dude, all right? Make it what it is. That's what it is for you. But don't come around complaining when such things as fiscal policy has never changed, the dollar continues to debase, whatever savings you have becomes increasingly worthless, whatever money you have to purchase anything becomes increasingly inadequate because of all the inflation, and then wonder why this stuff isn't working out in your favor when you have an opportunity to vote for somebody who's actually going to provide you with a substantive reason to vote for them, and you don't do it because you're told by all the big shots and hairdos that he's just not electable anyway, and that what you need to do is go back to these guys who are going to go around telling you exactly what you hear, what you want to hear, until they stop doing it, like Mitt Romney did. If you want to be critical of Mitt Romney, you should be critical of him for the same reason you should be critical of Barack Obama. These guys are stuffed suits who haven't done anything but try to tell you exactly what you want to hear, none of it involving any kind of policy. Absolutely none of it. All right? Or one of the reasons that we are in this problem, it isn't a Republican thing, and it certainly isn't a Democrat thing or any other party thing. The reason is people are approaching their country with the same mentality and temperament that they do their reality TV shows. All right? I don't like that guy because he did things within the rules of the game to advance in the game, and it made me feel all bad for the other people that he walked all over, and all he wanted to do was win money. Yeah, that's it. Because now we're seeing from especially the swing state polling numbers, I don't like that Mitt Romney because he said that I'm not, as good as he is because he something about the government giving me my food stamp. Yeah. No, the government shouldn't be giving a lot of the food stamp out because the government's $16 trillion in the hole. $90 trillion if you're talking about all the unfunded liabilities. $200 trillion if you believe some people who are more alarmists as far as that stuff goes. And what Mitt Romney has seen since he made that gaffe, I'll just give you the most recent numbers here. Down 4 in Florida, down 8, says the Washington Post, in Ohio. Another one has him down just 1 in Ohio. If the Republicans can't win Ohio, they can't win the presidency. Tied in Nevada, but a more reliable polling service, PPP, has Obama up 9 in Nevada. He's Romney now trailing in North Carolina, trailing in Virginia. He's keeping it pretty close in Colorado, though PPP has him out yesterday, trailing Obama 6. And all of these things are really starting to reflect the polling that has come out since his 47% gaffe. Look, if you didn't like Romney before, or you did like him, that whole 47% thing shouldn't have done anything to change him. Because he said as little with that as he had before. All that you're demonstrating by railing against him right now, after that thing, is that you're doing the whole presidency just like you do Big Brother or Survivor or which other reality show you watch. Leave the emotion out of it. Make these guys tell you what they're actually going to do, and then make your decision. This isn't like voting for somebody to keep being on a TV show. This is supposed to be something that's important, that you're supposed to actually put a little bit of thought into. And everybody is so critical of these guys who are actually running for office. Nobody ever talks about the people who are putting them in there. Nobody ever talks about the voters much. And what we are seeing, I believe, is that you, the voting public, handles the presidency just like you do your TV. You vote for who you like, who's telling you exactly what you want to hear. You are in part to blame for everything that is going on out there right now. The Diamondbacks are next. I am D. Palmer. This has been the DP Show. Thanks for tuning in.